Hello, hello, hello. Happy weekend review time here with Modified Darvas Box, myself, MDB. And what time is it? It's 10:57 a.m. and April 26th. And I thought I'd do a weekend review video. A person asked me to do one, and I agreed because, yeah, I think it's time to, some of the chaos is subsiding, and I think it's time to look at charts and see what the hell is going on. Um, I'll tell you, when I scanned through the charts, I found them confusing because we had the big panic gap down over tariffs, my tariffs, and basically I think the whole world was just over leveraged and got exposed, and now a lot of the leverage is gone, but sentiment still sucks, and there's still a lot of unknowns. I mean tariffs. Who the hell knows? I don't know. But and I don't think many corporations know either. Really, what's the impact of tariffs? I don't think they really know. So hard data is still not coming out. But in the meantime, what are we supposed to do? I'm flipped here to the NAM Exposure Index webpage. This is a good sentiment check. And you see, we were at 35 last week, and we only improved a little bit to 40 this week. And back in February, we're at 91. So yeah, sentiment's still down. It hasn't really rebounded, and I kind of agree with that. I mean, this is still a tough market. Uh, I'm good enough where I had did some really great trading, so I'm in some great positions. But if you're late and even on this rebound, you still may be, find it a lot tougher. So let's get into it. But like I said, some of the charts were, it's hard to get a read on it. Should we be bullish or should we be bearish? I'm not 100% sure. So, okay, before we get into the charts, for anybody who's never watched one of my videos before, I'm an independent trader, investor. I made my first trade in 1995. I've been around, I've seen a lot of stuff. And at this stage of the game, I just feel like my experience, I've just been around so long, things just don't shock me anymore. I just look at it and go, yeah, okay, all right, yeah, oh, okay, Um, so I just take that as maturing and in my life as a trader. I read the book. I start off as a can slim, William O'Neill can slim trader, like most people do with IBD, but then I morphed more into a Darvas style trader, based on the book How I Made $2 million dollars in the Stock Market by Nicholas Darvas. And then as I evolved in my trading career, I then added many elements from the strat strategy. The strat is a wonderful strategy and really, really helped take things to the next level. So take a look at it, do hashtag the strat, and maybe you'll see a lot of stuff on that. If you have questions about the strat, send me a DM, and I'm happy to point you in the right direction. So you see on my charts here, I've got personal, six different lists. I'm always moving stocks around. We'll probably look at the first four, and I always start on indexes because I want to get the big picture of what's going on. Yeah, and on the charts, you see I've got box ranges. My core time frame is weekly, and time frames are very important. But my core time frame is weekly. I got boxes drawn, and then the bars are also different colors here, different colors that signal different things, and I'll explain that in as we get into it. So first chart here, the MLP index. I own some MLPs for income. They're oil and gas. They pay either some pay monthly, some pay quarterly. But man, you need some income. But look at the market here. Major upheaval. Ugh, that's a Darvas box breakdown. Did I sell? Well, no, this is just an index. I don't own this index, but you see the trend, the long-term trend has been up. So, yeah, I'm not panicking over this stuff anyways, but it's just an approximation of some of the upheavals we've had. So, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. People are crazy. ARC. Okay, Kathy Wood. So I keep an eye on ARC usually because it's got a lot of good color signals that I use. Here is a yellow bar buy signal. This here is a blue buy signal. It means sort of sit up and pay attention. The pink bar here is the same sit up and pay attention type bar, only it's got a bearish tint because it was down, where the blues are up. Grays here are inside bars. Inside bars are 50-50. The way you do it is you see the bar and then you trade the reaction to the bar. So you go, oh, I'm going to trade that one. Well, price went down below it, triggered low, get short. But then, as you saw this week right here, it sort of rebounded, but okay. But that's the thing. You see the signal bar, like here on the weekend, and then you plan your trade during the week. It's that simple. See this bar here? Yeah, there's a good chance if it's going lower, maybe you should short that. If you did, clunk, 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 clunk. Yeah, that was a great trade. Now we've had an inside bar here, which triggered higher. So yeah, at the moment, things are bullish. But notice how we've got a box breakdown formation right there. And now the rebound is bullish. So should we be, is this just a counter trend rally? And then we're going to start going back down again? I don't know. We just have to wait and see. And by the way, these circled ones are hammer bar right here, which are bullish, and shooter bar, which are bearish. They're just the opposite to each other. So that's a little how to break down some of my charts here. Oil, BZJ, this is a proxy for oil. Box breakdown here, right here. Oil's been in a downtrend since what month is that? April of 2024. So call it a year downtrend. And breakdown here, futzed around, formed a new box, broke down again. A little bit of a bullish rebound, but the major trend is down. If you change time frames, go to a monthly chart, well, yeah, you see, oil's been bullish for a while, but there's that top, and you see it's down, and there was a breakdown, then a recovery, and now we're in a breakdown again. Oil's just not, oil's not bullish. But lower oil prices means good news for consumers. But it also might mean, hey, the economy's slowing down as well. Less demand for oil. So that's how you got to read this macro stuff. But I don't get too deep into macro because it is what it is, NASDAQ, this is the one everybody wants. The NASDAQ had this wonderful uptrend like that, and then it started going south here. Pink bar signal. Inside bar, negative thing, but then it formed a hammer, but then that failed. Another pink. Pink tells you to pay attention. Doesn't mean slam a trade. Just means sit up, pay attention. The white bar sell signal right here. Uh-oh. Box breakdown. Uh-oh. You also see I use a single moving average. I don't really use it. It's just a gauge, but it's the only moving average I use. I don't use moving averages for anything else. And it's just more like a red light, green light. If it's above, green light, below, red light. But you see how the trend line started to bend? Down, clunk, clunk, clunk. Now, we all know from looking back now that the whole world, retail, whatever, was buying this dip right here. And, that was a hammer bar right there. If you were bullish on it, yeah, you might have been buying it, but it didn't really trigger. So you shouldn't have bought it. But many people were, and then, uh-oh, clunk, clunk, clunk. And then we got the chaos here. And now we've been sort of futzing around. But here's the thing. While stocks have recovered, if you're buying up in here, well, this is probably going to be a real chop zone. I mean, are we really going back to new highs? On what data? So I'd say if you bought down here in the lows, you're looking good. If you bought here in the mediums, you might struggle soon. But that's just a guess. So we'll see what happens. But this is definitely a downtrend with a little bit of counter trend rally at the moment. That's how I read it. I don't know if you agree with that. If your heads are nodding yes or shaking side to side no. But that's how kind of my thoughts are. But these charts right now are tough to interpret. So we know we're slightly bullish at the moment because, yeah, we've been rebounding. But the greater trend, let's go back here to the NASDAQ. The greater trend, let's look at monthly. Well, monthly, we gave a sort of a toppy signal right there. That's a shooter bar. We then rolled over clunk, and now we're here at a hammer bar for the month. We still got, what, 5 days left? Well, maybe May it triggers higher and we rebound. Or maybe it just doesn't trigger anything. See, once the bar is locked in, then you can plan your trade. All right, what am I going to do if it hits the top here at 17,741? Well, I'll get bullish. But since it's a monthly, you better be prepared for it to go up, down, up, down. It could just futz around all down in here. We just don't know. But a lot of this panic seems to have been sort of a generational panic, COVID lows. So I would say we might even come back up here to the moving average. See from here to here, and then things will get wonky again. So let's draw that. Maybe something like that. Oh, my drawing skills aren't the greatest. Yeah, maybe that's the target. Maybe that's where we're headed back to. That seems reasonable, doesn't it? Yeah, all right. Well, we'll leave that on there. We'll see what happens. All right, Ethereum, barf. Who the hell is trading Ethereum? Just sucks. FFTY, a proxy for growth. Look at that. Pink bar, it's just screaming, get out. It tried to break out of the box. It failed. Ugh, bar, chaos. China. I love how he says China. Breakout here, but then down again. And the future in China is sort of up in the air, but at the moment, investors don't seem to be too concerned over tariffs. Oh, okay. But that's a strange Chinese proxy. I do not invest in Chinese companies. I think their accounting is too sketchy. And some of the Trump executive orders targeted Chinese equities on American exchanges. So last thing I want to do is buy a Chinese ADR and wake up to find that it's been suspended or delisted. No thanks. Gold. Big sell off. Look at the volume. Big sell off followed by even bigger buying here. But now I tweeted and stuff and I saw historic buying in gold here, and all that. Well, and look what they was doing. Red sell bar. So there may have been a lot of buyers in here, panic buying, and a bunch of holders decided to hit the sell button and sold into it. Whether that's a top or not, I have no idea. Probably not, but maybe it goes more sideways now. Think of the probabilities. It's had a fantastic run since way back down here. What's the probability that gold may take a break? Maybe go sideways, maybe come down a little. Look at the moving average, High yield bonds. Oof. Great opportunity down here to have bought high yield to get income. I did that on KIO. I was a buyer down. Oh no, that's not that one. KKR Income Opportunity Fund. I was buying down in here. That's around a 12 to 13% yield. Now it's a little less because of here, but it's like you got to look for opportunities, man. And this is my maturing as a trader. I can look at the landscape and be like, oh, that's a good opportunity, as opposed to panicking and, trying to sway followers. Nah, man. And by the way, to anybody who doesn't know me, I do have a corporate job. I've traded as a full-time trader 3 times in my life. I would not recommend doing that. It's lonely. It's the pressure to constantly make money to make your expenses. You need a really good supportive environment. If you're just independent, forget it. You're better off having a career and trading through that way. Because the pressure to win is corrosive, man. And to make money and pay the mortgage or the rent and, it's really hard. And plus you've got a headwind. You're charged 30% of your profits by the government. So think about that. I was asked in bull markets how much money you need to trade full time. I would say at least $1 million. Otherwise, you're just dreaming. Like you got 300 grand, you'll never make it because your expenses will just eat away at you. So I have strong opinions about that. And plus, there's benefits from jobs, teamwork, career path, all that, uh, benefits. So I work in software. Okay, but high yield bonds, big breakdown, but look at that. Their big rebound puts it back up here. Are we bullish or bearish? Well, you're bullish down here, back down to here. Well, we'll see. I wouldn't be buying it here. That's for sure. That time has passed. Now we got to let things settle down. Insurance, great sector, profitable. Look at this run, and it's just hung out inside the box. It didn't crash out of it. That's relative strength. Bitcoin, I bet, yellow bar buy signal. They're back, starting to push Bitcoin. Is this the start of a new bullish leg? It could be. Look at that. And it got some good volume. Box breakdown here. But notice the volume sequence. Keep an eye on volume sequences. Red, they're puking it out. They want to sell. But then the next week, green. Investors saw that as an opportunity. And they started writing checks. These guys who are selling, they are wrong. And we are stepping up, and I'm going to put some big money into this. And you see, Bitcoin didn't really have as much volatility as stocks. Had the big volume here. But look at that again. It started the low and closed at the high. They were buying in here. And now they're really beginning to push it. I would say Bitcoin is getting very bullish here. What is that? Software, IGV. Yeah, box breakdown, clunk, clunk. And now look at this big one back up to here. Does that mean it's time to buy? It needs to actually form a pattern. Notice that's a very bullish bar, but sometimes these blues require a pullback week or a month afterwards. Like right here, blue, pullback. A blue sort of, it didn't really go anywhere there. You see, that tends to happen on the blues. So prepare yourself for a bit of a pullback. I'm expecting next week to be a pullback, but that's just a guess. I don't really know. Housing, downtrend. Yep. What do we got here? Microcaps. Who cares about microcaps? Down. That's a downtrend with a counter trend, inside bar and a move up, but I would just call it a counter trend rally. Russell 2000, who cares? But box breakdown and now a little counter trend rally. What do we got here? Healthcare. Yeah, that was a box breakdown. That's the thing. Volatility sometimes makes it hard to read the charts. So I got to take a sec to read it. Whoopsie. Wrong one. That's a red. But you see it went down, but shake and bake in there. Jeez. But it's been going down since this peak right here. See, there's your main signal right there. That's when the market, the powers that be, made a conscious decision that healthcare is going to be underweighted. And bulls have been sort of fighting that decision, but look at that. Overall, that's a downtrend, baby. Transports, yeah, down. Not much of a rebound on transports. Some made it up in here. Look at that. It closed right here. Triggered off the inside bar and did not close bullish. And this is like trucking and stuff that deals with the economy. So, yeah, economy is going to be slowing. I believe it. See, there's the inside bar and there's the trigger. That's a bullish trigger because it's tech. But the Qs, so maybe we go back up to the moving average. But would you rather been buying down here or would you rather be buying here? RSP, bullish reaction, but the whole pattern overall is bearish. So I read that as a counter trend. The big volume here is good, which means probably we're not going back down to this zone anytime soon because the buyers really stepped up. So I'd say this zone is the safe zone and this zone is the be very careful, you could lose money, this is going to be tough zone. Does that make sense? I don't. Would you agree, or do you think I'm crazy? I don't know. Retail. Look at that. That's a nice rebound back into the box. Should you be buying it here? Well, if you did, you got to sit on it for a while. Trading it's going to be much harder than sitting and doing nothing. Semiconductors. Yeah, big rebound than the down. But look at that. It's been just semiconductors been kind of a mess forever. Let's look at monthly. Yeah, it's sort of a save, but does that mean they're back? Not really. It means it's back to sideways, maybe? Where's the growth? Whoops. Where's the growth? I don't know. S&P 500, the the purple, that's where I put my 401k money back into it. I put my 401k into cash around here. And so that's a nice trade, but yeah, I don't recommend trading 401k money very often. But bullish, but again, the counter trend rebound versus the main trend, we'll see. How does it look on the monthly? Yeah, the monthly, it could turn into something great next month, or it might fizzle. Because you see, this is forming a valid hammer bar, and it's got to go higher than, call that 5,700 next month in May. If it goes higher than there, there's your buy signal. But is it going to really get there? I don't know. We will see. All right, I'm taking a lot of time on indexes. SPY is the same way. Okay, sentiment. T2106, a shorter term sentiment. That kind of shows we're near the tops of sentiment at the moment. Another reason why I'm expecting next week to be probably more down or sideways. T2107, percentage of stocks above the 200 day. Historic. There's COVID levels right here. And it hit that below the green line, which means buy, buy, buy. I was buying. I tweeted this. Nobody listened. And if you did listen, give yourself a pat on the back. Or at least if you didn't lose money. I mean, the whole point is not to lose money. Try and make money, but just don't lose it. Percent of stocks above the 40 day. See, there's your COVID lows, and this is more approximate to COVID. But see, it was screaming buy, 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 buy a few weeks ago. Now it's sort of back up to here. So how much opportunity is there? Well, there's less opportunity here than there was down here. Solar. God, what a dog. If you're bullish on solar, we can't help you. I'm sorry. Just awful. TLTs. Look at that. Remember how they were saying how TLTs was acting weird? And I guess it was the Japanese who were selling it because they needed cash. Because Japanese bankers are awful. But, well, most bankers all screw up. But there's the box breakdown. But now it's sort of coming back, and maybe it'll go back up. I just don't know. But at least treasuries aren't crashing. So the VIX, there's that huge historic high, which matches with COVID highs. See right in here. Let's put a circle on that. Buy signal. When it's up here, you should be buying. You should be looking to buy. I've got the green line here about 40 because it goes across the top pretty well. But yeah, anytime the VIX is up in here, just close your eyes and buy. Just be buying. In fact, this is probably the easiest indicator to make money off of. And now it's coming back down, and we'll see what happens. So, real estate, it's still in a huge Darvas box here. Yeah. What do we got? Oh yeah, oil and gas. Yeah, oil's bearish. We saw it. Why should oil and gas be bearish? Financials. The big one down, but look at the big volume bar. They know financials aren't as bad. Treasuries, all that. Look at it. They're rebounded. Utilities, the Utes, box breakdown, but then a big green bar back in. Yeah, everybody needs electricity to charge their iPhone. So the overall view, which I take on this again, is a bigger primary downtrend, but we're in a counter trend back up here. Call it A, B, and then C. Maybe we do an ABC pattern. A, B, C. Maybe that's our future. Or let's make it a little more. Maybe that's our future right there. A, B, C. But I don't think we're going back down to these lows. So, yeah, that's what I think. All right, let's look at some individual stocks. And it was hard doing these ones because of what's a box breakout and what's not. Cell H. Cell H is a box breakout, but look at that. It's really sort of struggling here. I'm only up about 70 cents. I bought it at 36. I traded it in here and it was just a flop. Um, so I've got two trades on it now. This third one, and it's coming here. What I attribute this to is it's already at almost a $9 billion valuation. I shorted it up here when it was literally 18 billion, and I covered it here. Basically, see the volume coming in. But this one is where things changed around. But how much future does it have? Well, its earnings are coming up. I may have to sell this if there's not much cushion for earnings. So we'll see. But this one is really not. It's probably waiting for earnings to see whether it goes higher or not. The problem is, if I don't have any cushion going to earnings, I'm going to sell it before earnings because I'm not willing to take the risk. Holding into earnings with less than $1 profit, that's a scary proposition. Netflix, box breakout, strong. I don't own it, but if you want something bullish, look at that. Box breakout, green, green, green. I mean, what more do you need? Netflix. I don't even have a Netflix subscription. TGTX, well, that's not a box breakout. I'm going to have to move this, but uh, box breakout here. I missed it, so I started buying it in here, and I own it here, and there we go, the rebound. This is a biotech, so don't put too much money into it, but it looks pretty good. It doesn't belong on this list, though. Put it back into the number 6. TMDX, one of the true box breakouts I pointed out 2 weeks ago, looking good. And that's it for the true textbook breakouts. So still not a hugely bullish market. Now stocks with bullish signals. And there's a lot of them here, and I struggled as to whether they should be on this list or not. So ARM, box breakdown, but it's back into the range on a much higher volume. To me, that's bullish because it implies that this low was defended. But overall, is this going anywhere? It looks like a lot more sideways. Avago, Broadcom, the bullish blue bar, there's that pullback, and now it's gone higher. So at the moment, I'd say that qualifies. But still, it's got this big downtrend, but big green volume always helps. Boeing, look at that. Yellow bar buy signal. It had one here, but man, this has just been a mess. But you want to know something in Boeing's favor? Look at the volume. Red volume here, higher green volume. Red volume here, higher green volume. The demand is higher than the supply on this one. So if you like Boeing, keep it on your radar. Berkshire, box breakout, although it's on low volume, so that's why it's this list, not the other. But Warren Buffett keeps getting richer. The Bros, I bought the Bros, the big box breakout here. I missed it at the time. I had traded it all the way back here, and it just didn't click. And but then on the pullback, I started getting interested, tried it here, and then decided I was going to really buy it down here. Not the world's biggest rebound, but man, when the prices are panicking down here, I will take it. CEG, setting up in a box, bullish, but it's also kind of bearish, so this is one I struggled with. We'll see. Carvana, again, the box breakout in here and the rebound on bigger volume, kind of bullish. But look at the sideways action. There's been a lot of action in here. Tough one to trade. GE, box break down, bigger green, and now a yellow bar buy signal. What were they upset about here? I don't know. But that's bullish. GEV, same deal. Back into the box here, and now a little bit of volume with a bullish signal. GGAL, Argentinian. Look at that. Box breakdown here, and then look at the volume reaction. And people, traders, buyers, investors, they saw it down here, and they stomped on the gas here. And then a yellow bar buy signal here. Difference between, it's a great deal at 46, and now it's 63. Is it still as great a deal? Well, but man, what an opportunity. GH, I bought it, this one here. I traded it earlier here and here because I believe this long term. And then I simply added more there. And now we got a box breakout here. What I love about this one is they received an FDA approval. I forget, somewhere back in here. This is a monthly chart. You had a yellow bar signal on the monthly, a pullback month here, then a box breakout here. And look at that. Now it's just forming a little sideways. And actually, that doesn't even qualify as a box because now it's higher. But you see, long-term investing, sit on it, and maybe it'll go back from 48 back to 90, back to 140. So I'm excited about that. And my goal is to sit on this stuff. GME, on the radar, big red, but then a yellow bar signal to get back into the box. Kind of bullish. I wish that was bigger. Let's show you the volume. You know, everybody was blowing out of this, and then it got too green. But I wish the green volume was bigger. But, well, we'll see. Hood. I was a buyer down here. And you know why I was a buyer? You know why this stood out? Because it formed a box, and it was sort of hanging out inside the box while everything else was crashing out of the box, which you saw on other, like on the NASDAQ. Or no, let's use a Q, cleaner. So other stuff was out of a box and crashing downwards, while Hood was just flopping along in here. That's relative strength. I bought it once there, and then I added, and got them all right in here. Hood, great buys, and now it's coming up. Now it's got earnings, and with luck, it'll go even higher. And if it flops down, well, then I'll sell and I'll take my small profit, but just a great spot. JP Morgan, same deal. Rebound back in the box on big green volume. My dad's happy with that. This one. Okay. This one's got the same problem. How to interpret it. Box breakdown. Some green rebound volume. An inside bar. And now a bullish resolution. 2 green volumes in a row. So maybe down here, 29 is much better than paying 45. But the tendency on blue bars is you could see a pullback week. So if this drops down again, and if it drops down like this inside and on low volume, then that might be a nice buying setup. So we'll see. MSTR, like we saw, Bitcoin's going back up. Not a box breakout, but it's a box breakout, but just low volume. So bullish, but does this get me really excited? ServiceNow, king of the software. Look at that, down, and now did it ever happen? That's just so rude. Big selling, selling, sell, 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 and now one bar it goes all the way back up. I'd be so pissed. But that's bullish, but I'm not sure I'd be wanting to buy it. PLTR, same deal as Hood. The relative strength was just off the charts. You could just see it bouncing in the box here while everything else was crashing. So yeah, when it hits the lows, start buying. Roblox, very interesting, hard to interpret because pink, pink, box breakdown, and but now it's turned, but no big green volume. That's a tough one to interpret. Rubric, I bought it all the way back in here on the box breakout, sold it up here when it failed this breakout and finally uh, uh, hit the top line. I could have sold it in these weeks before, but you know, I thought it would do good, but nope, failed there. But then it did the same thing as PLTR and all that. It was just bouncing in the box during the panic. So it undercuts, buy it, and you're looking good. RKLB, I bought it there. I stupidly sold it here. Everyone on Twitter was yelling at me. Traders I knew were going, "What are you doing, man?" Uh, but I saw an opportunity. Same deal as PLTR and the others. Bouncing in the box here while everything else crashes. When it undercuts, buy it. Uber, Bill Ackman touted it here. Ackman's pretty smart, though he writes way too long tweets. Box breakdown and then the rebound right there. I mean, Uber looks great. Vert, I've had my eye on this also. Again, same deal, just bouncing in the box while everything else was crashing. When it goes down like that, buy it. Although now it reported earnings and it was sort of okay, but I'm in a great spot, so I think this is gonna slow walk. I'm willing to hold this for a long time. I'll hold this for a few years. I don't care. Walmart, nice rebound. Look at that. Look at that big volume. The Walmart. So that's stuff that made the bullish list. Let's look at the bearish list. There is going to be stuff that looks bullish on the bearish list, so maybe it needs another week before it comes off. AOI, that's just bearish. Ugh. Although you see a little bullish marker right here, but the big trend is bearish. So is that a bottom? The bottom? I have no idea. But it just doesn't grab me. Apple. This is probably more of the bottom, but I didn't know what to do with Apple. Maybe it should be on the bullish because you see the volume just stands out. Let's do that. Yeah, let's put Apple there. Here's an example of something that, notice how Apple got the huge volume. Look at this, A-Lab. Went up here, green, 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 green. All of a sudden it shifts, red. Now you got red, red, red. Where's the green volume? Where is it? This is sort of an eh. Maybe it's got a bright future later, but at the moment they're not saying that this is a number one pick. It's just not. Maybe it will though. AMD, I shorted AMD up in here. I sold it here. That was a decent trade, but now it's been forming a box. I can't tell whether this is bullish or bearish. Amazon, look at that pull down. Slightly bullish action here, and look at that. Pretty big, but a little hard to. Another week or two, maybe this comes up here and then starts dropping again. I don't know. And that, I was short this here. I covered at frickin' the lows. Some of my best trading ever. Do I want to buy that one? No. Why would I want to buy it? And it's sort of, I mean, I could have. It would have been a great rebound, but there's nothing that's grabbing me on that. To me, the trend has peaked on this one, man. Time to look somewhere else. It had its moment in the sun. Look at that run. And now, clunk. Time to find new names, in my opinion. Uh, Abercrombie, anybody buying clothes there? Clunk. Just looks awful. This one, awful. In fact, I think I'm going to get rid of this one. Let's just do it. I don't care. Uh, which one is this? Oh, APP. The incredible run from down here all the way to the top there. But look at that. Box breakdown here. A peak here. Breakdown in here. Another box breakdown here. It went from breaking out to breaking down on huge volume. But then, no, the buyers came in here. But then here, pink bar. Uh-oh, guys, are you sure? And it's just acting negative. It may be up like $9 for the day, but I don't think it's got the same mojo as it did. I don't know. We'll see. Bell looks awful. No rebound. You could argue that that's a low, but why do you want this stock? Look at the overall big picture. There's better out there. BLDR for housing, down. There's your shooter bar. Shorted on that, you'd made 165 down to 120. 40 points, not bad. Cat, box breakdown. Yeah, it had some volume, but this isn't really doing anything. This is still a bearish trend. Make sense? Kava. Peaked up here, and at 90, it's got a $10 billion valuation. It was up to 170. It was worth what, $20 billion? Give me a break. But it's come down here. It's sort of futzing around between 75 and 90. And I don't know. It just doesn't grab me. So it's on the bearish list. Coin, counter trend rally. Primary downtrend, counter trend rally as Bitcoin goes up. This one here, box breakdown. Look at the big volume. This is just saying stay away. Same here on this one. Stay away. Where's the big green volume here? It's just not there. Deck. Whoa. Look at that. Well, how awful. Did people stop buying shoes? I guess so. Dell. Dell Computer. Now, it sort of stopped right there. You can see where investors thought that 70, 75 is too low. But there's not much excitement of it going higher. So, DHI housing, ever since up here, downtrend. This is all just chop. Still in downtrend. They've been doing share buybacks, which is a good idea, I think. But it's not enough. ELF, I shorted it here because it was obvious way back here. You get the white bar signal here, and it becomes a mess in here. Short it, covered it right there, and then the signal right here, shorted it again, and covered right there, and now it's sort of coming up, but, I mean, this one's got nothing going for it on the bullish side that I can tell. ESTC. Now, this is interesting. Let's look at the bigger picture. Kind of a mess, but the volume. Big green here. Green, 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 green. All right, some red as the market got whatever. Some green. This one right here, investors thought that 90 something was a great price. They stepped up here, but then the market turned to shit, and we came back down here, and now they're nibbling at it again. They keep nibbling at it. What is it about this? Keep an eye on ESTC. Like, this is a slightly bullish setup right here, but maybe it pulls back. But the green volume says keep an eye on it. Google. In a box, but nothing going on. The GUR, I bought it here, I sold it here. Do I normally get tops? No, of course not. I'm not that good. But I know enough of when something's, beginning to turn a little wonky. And you see the big red volume here? Let's mark that. This is your sign that something's changed. Green, 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 light red, green, 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 big red. Pay attention, man. Ion Q. Not bad, but it's just not getting the love. But sure, it might be okay. Keep an eye on it. IoT. Sell. Buy. The buyers liked it here. No, no, man, we got to sell. No, we really like it. I've never traded this stock, and it's all over the map. So, Len Housing keeps going down. I shorted here. I covered it there. But housing's, I don't know. MDB, the stock, ugh, making me look bad. Down there, Meta, yeah, forming a box. Nothing special. Monday, there's that box breakdown here. Rebound, but the volume was kind of low. We've seen other stocks have much bigger volume. Moderna. I hope this company goes to zero. COVID shots. Ugh. But great short at 120, 120, 118. Now it's at 27. But you would have had to be patient. Microsoft with the breakdown and the rebound. But Microsoft's been going sideways, so it doesn't really grab me as a buy. Micron. Tech is back, baby, right? I'm sorry, this doesn't look healthy. All the price actions below this moving average, and it's pointed more down. This one, NBI. I don't really know much about this. I put it on the list, but I do see red, 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 red. We need to start seeing green on this one. Net. Breakdown with a little bit of recovery, but Net is one that they just love for some reason. They drove it to insane valuations here. They drove it back up here, and every time they drive it up, it just gives it all back up. It's kind of funny. This little guy, speculation, and nothing's going on. And that's negative. NVIDIA, shorted it here, sold here. I tried it a whole bunch of times here. Only didn't really make much money or anything like that. But this one definitely put it in the win column. Notice here, other stocks went bullish, had bullish upwards things off of the inside bar. NVIDIA did not. Did not trigger. I thought it was supposed to be the king. Let's look at it on the monthly. Well, that's a potential hammer forming. I don't know. But I don't see much bullish on the weekly. This little guy here, yeah, why bother? There's nothing going on. Oracle, down. That's a downtrend. What do we got here? PI, nice week here, but look at that. It went from 240 down to 70 before it had a decent day. Jesus. I bought the box breakout here. I thought it would be going way higher. I sold it there. Can you see the inside bar? And then I sold it. I had no idea it was going to go down this much. But I should have, but I had no reason to. I don't really know this one, so no reason to, but I wish I did. Qualcomm peaked back here. Hasn't been the same since. Reddit. Shorted it there, covered there. Great job. Now, when I see it back up here, I think, I should have bought it, but oh well. But that looks sort of bullish, sort of. But this was forming a big, giant ass box. So there's not much in the way of interpretation on that range that I can see. Rocket. Amazing yellow bar signal. Huge green volume. But then clunk during the chaos, it got down with a big sell bar. But I decided to take a shot at it, and I did. Oops, I've traded this one like 3 times. The third time one was the charm. I got it down here. I put it on Twitter here at the lows of the box right below it. And now it's working, but it took a couple tries. The first one, I lost money. The second one, I'm trying to remember my trading records. I think the first two basically are washes. Number three is the one that's so far working. But I like it. This got me excited. That was a downer. But if rates go back, if rates come down, this one might be interesting. So, root back up. Nice rebound. Not much volume, but this one's tough to trade. RDX. Well, that's a defense one, but kind of tough. SE. Box breakdown. A rebound. Didn't go into the box, but now it's back. I bailed on it here because I figured tariffs would hit this one. Maybe I was wrong. I don't know. This one, downtrend. I forget why I've got this on here. Downtrend here, shop. Oh, some rebound here, but maybe shop's going to stop here at 100. I don't know. Shark Ninja. Well, buyer stepped up here. So I don't know. We'll see. Give that a week or two. Snow, that's kind of back to positive. That looks neither bullish nor bearish. I'm going to put it back on watching. And the Stinger, oh, look how horrible it is. Oil transport. Well, oil's in a bear market. That hit it right there. And there's your signal. T-Doc. Yeah, I flubbed this one right here. I thought it would look great. And then, woof. Big sell volume here. And it's done nothing since. It's keep going down. So much for being a value investor. But I keep it on here. Just keep an eye on it. Tesla. That actually is a box breakout right there. So good news for the Tesla fans. And I'm going to put this in the textbook ones. Now, is it the greatest box breakout it's ever been? No. But it's positive. Upstart. Yeah, look at that. Interesting. Yeah, I'd call this on the positive side. When I went through these names, it was tough to figure out which one should be in. Oh, URI, that actually looks pretty decent from a rebound perspective, because that's a much bigger green volume. So yeah, let's put that in. I'll just put watching. I'm not going to buy URI. And then the last one here, VRT, I mean. Clear downtrend. Yeah, there's the counter trend rally, but needs more. Maybe it goes back to this moving average. I don't know. VST. Downtrend, maybe a little rebound, just nothing special. And that's it for the lists I got here. Let's see if there's anything in the watching list here. See if anything stands out. ARQQ, Quantum. There's what I like about this chart. Green, 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 green. Where's the big red sell volume? It's just not there. Interesting. ASTS, Axon, always. There's the turn here. Investors stepped up and said, you're crazy. Crazy to be selling it. Costco. Look at that. It formed a box and never broke it. Well, it broke it here, but now it's back to just being sideways. That looks pretty good. If Walmart can be there, let's put that in there. CrowdStrike, yeah, looks pretty good. Yeah. Yellow bar buy signal right there. Docu, For solar, the only decent solar, but still, look at that downtrend. You can fight the downtrend, people, but the big trend is down. Geo, well, sideways. Grail, pretty good, but look at that, bouncing around in a huge box. This one, based on nuclear, this one's incredibly hard to trade. I lost a lot of money a few years ago on this one. God, don't remind me. Uh, LMT, look at that, little bit of a box breakout, but then a failure. It's coming back a little. Perfect example of blue bar followed by a red bar afterwards. Doesn't happen all the time, but it can. Uh, that one sideways. Eh, Panda, it's so hard to trade. This little guy here, I don't think there's much in that one. The little quantums, which I just keep an eye on, nothing special. Nothing special. I think one of these is a fraud. I can't remember which one though. Ferrari, that's a good sideways action. RGTI, huge sideways. But isn't that interesting? Look, green, 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 and now it's all gone quiet. But where's the big reds? That means keep this on the radar. Rivian, nothing's going on there. Roku, nothing's going on there. Not sure why I'm even looking at Roku. This little guy, SES, I have no idea what it is, but green, 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 green. Play it at your peril. I know nothing about it. Snow, we know. Spotify, it looks great. I listen to Joe Rogan, do you? But it's not a box breakout yet. Maybe in a week or two. And then there's the TGTX, URI, Venom, oil and gas. Yeah, I still got some of this, but I just sit on it. The Zimmer, just keep an eye on it. Not doing anything. And that's it. So that's a whole bunch of listings. And that's the weekend review. And, I hope you have a good trading week. Try and find stuff that looks like this breaking out and not stuff that looks like that. But yeah, we'll see what happens this week. And, we'll see. Like I said, I'm expecting sort of a quiet week or maybe a down week, but maybe some earnings action. So, be careful. The time to buy was a few weeks ago, and now it's sort of got to digest and settle down and see what it wants to do. All right, have a good one. Thanks. Bye-bye.